What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with another Cure Thursday as we move through the Disintegration album, 1989. Thank you, as always, to Phil for providing these deluxe editions. And the next tune is Lullaby. And in fact, Sophia wondered whether I might know this one. I'll say at the very least, I don't recognize it by name. Now, there have been a few songs along the way in this Cure journey where I didn't know them by name, and then they started, and it was like, oh wait, I definitely remember this from my youth. So yes, it is entirely possible that will happen, but on the page it doesn't strike a chord or ring a distant bell. Thinking about the title, it is of course a single word title, but a lullaby, a song, or a comforting tune sung to often a child, though not always, but to placate them, to relax them, to get them in a mode where they can more easily go to sleep, to make them feel comfortable. And in that regard, I'm not necessarily inclined to see it as literal, though of course a song about a lullaby, there's a bit of meta reference in that. But of course a lullaby can be the final comforting act, the final merciful act towards someone before they pass away, or by extension before a connection, a relationship, or some phase or period in a person's life is put to bed and they move into the next chapter, or they go to sleep in a more figurative sense. So I could see any one of those things being relevant. Likely none of them will be, or at the very least I feel like there's probably more to it than just the reference of a song and the metaphors that may entail. I'll see what I can catch on a first listen. This is The Cure. The song is Lullaby, and it's from their 1989 album Disintegration. Woof. The pizzicato strings, they do strike a chord.
I'm kind of struggling. Spider-Man comes softly through the shadow of the evening sun, stealing past the windows of the blissfully lit, looking for a vintage shimmering. His arms all around me and his tongue in my eyes. Still calm and quiet now, my precious boy. Don't struggle like that, I will only love you. But it's much too late to get away. Turn on the light,
What a tune. So, as I said, like, when the pizzicato strings first came in, that did strike a chord. So, it's possible I have heard this before, but most of it didn't hit me in that way. Most of it felt new and fresh. So, my best guess is I haven't heard it, but maybe, like, passing through like a store where it was playing in the 80s or something like that, or I suppose maybe the early 90s. Yeah, like that would be the most I would have heard it, but a really incredible tune. I love the vibes. It's like a lot of their songs, they have this melancholy, but it doesn't feel like sad for sad's sake. It feels like, you know, sad but with the wisdom that comes from that, or born of like really deep experience, and thus, it's not like kind of melancholy in a trite way. It feels like there's like a lot of depth of feeling and again experience, and so like the sad sonic stylings, like it hits different than some other groups where there's a sad song and even like lyrics about they've been left behind or something like that, where it's like that can be sad, that could be moving, but even when like I don't know fully what's happening lyrically, more on that in a moment, I just feel the kind of like the weight of Robert's soul, if you will, as I listen to a lot of the Cure songs. Now, of course, some of them aren't like that. The Love Cats, for example, is very much not like that. And some of the like the Underground, the one with the subway, which had a bit of a horror vibe and so on. There's some that are very off in a different territory, but this tune is indicative of one of their main lanes, where it's like I just feel the heaviness of Robert's thoughts and feelings that he puts out there very vulnerably in a lot of their lyrics. But okay, so lyrically on this one, at first I was like, did he say Spider-Man? Did he say, like, surely he didn't say Spider-Man. And the more it went along, I was like, wait, that is what he's saying, right? But I don't necessarily see it as like, if I'm even hearing that correctly, and maybe I'm still not, though again, I heard it like 3 or 4 times where it's like, that is what he's saying right now. Fair to say, vocally, a lot of it is whispered, almost like he's scared and he's worried, and he's going to be put to sleep in a more dire or lethal way. And indeed, it sounded like when he's on the foot of his bed, and then this guy has his arms around him, it sounds like more dangerous, or like he's being put to sleep in a like murderous way. And then it's like, what was it, like 1,000 like piercing like holes or something. I don't know exactly what the phrasing was, but then he was like, he wakes up and he feels cold, and it's almost like he's been poisoned, he's been given the kiss of death, or the bite of death, and he has been like, that's what the lullaby was, that he's been sort of sung to sleep in a like dark metaphorical way, and he's realizing this as he's been poisoned or something like that. So maybe I'm totally off base, but it felt more dangerous and menacing than maybe I expected it to. Not that I expected it to be straight away like, here, I sing this comforting song to you to help you go to sleep and to feel better, but at the same time, like, it felt like more like he was being stalked, because what was the first line? It was like, coming at him through the shadow of the sun or something like that. And then again, he's like whispering as if he's like scared to speak loudly because it might make him, more vulnerable or more visible. And then, as I said, the arms around him, it didn't feel, at least as it hit my ears and brain on this first listen, or maybe first listen, it didn't feel comforting or warm and enveloping. It felt more like threatening and menacing. So again, maybe I'm totally off base with that, but the sonic atmosphere, and again, so beautiful, the pluck strings, the more sweeping strings, the overall movement and mood of the tune being kind of heavy and a bit unclear, just really came together well. So yeah, definitely one I'm going to have to re-listen to and digest some more, but an absolutely fantastic tune on an album that I'm just going to already definitively state is a masterpiece. I know we're not done with it yet, but after, what is it, like 6 or 7 tunes, it's just incredible. So yeah, looking forward to more. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.